Let's talk about Book 17, The Underground. Book number 4 for Rachel as the narrator. Let's get into the plot straight off, shall we? So we start off with the Animorphs walking through the woodland areas around Cassie's barn. And they're begging Jake to go to a concert. What is it a concert? It's like a festival where a bunch of shitty celebrities are. That's basically it. And they're basically pleading, Jake, you know, how often do we get to see this? There's this 90s celebrity who nobody cares about anymore going. And Jake's, he's saying, well, we shouldn't really be doing this. And then they say, oh, another 90s celebrity who nobody knows about anymore is there as well. And Jake's like, hey, I know that person who nobody knows anymore. I'll go too. Fuck me, Jake. Remember Book 10. The first thing that happened in Book 10 was that they morphed Dog to go to see an Offspring concert. At least Offspring are good. Jake now, I mean, there's been a few books have passed. Maybe he's developed a bit more maturity. But it doesn't take long for him to be convinced to break his own rules. Shit leadership, Jake. And now that you've set that standard where, oh, I like that celebrity, therefore we'll go along with this. That sets the standard. So anytime now there's another fucking festival, or I don't know, Justin Bieber goes, and Rachel's like, oh, I love that JB. She says, should I go or should I not? Well, Jake goes if he likes the person, so I'll go too. No, bad standard. You know, don't listen to Justin Bieber, right? Bad standard. The one thing we can say about this scene that's a positive from Jake's point of view is at least now they're asking him if they can break his rules rather than just doing it. It's an improvement, a little one, but it's an improvement nonetheless. So they go to this concert, festival, whatever. It's in California, so you get all the typical fucking hoity-toity twats. And they're flying around in their bird morphs. Now, they know that this puts their resistance in jeopardy. It puts it at risk. Risk is a better word there. Because somebody can spot these birds flying together, think, oh, that's a bit weird. Maybe that's the Andalite bandits. Keep an eye on it. Look where it goes. Find them. Done. Resistance over. So yes, there is a risk that comes with doing this thing where they go to see fucking shit celebrities. And there's an awful line on page 18, said by our friend Rachel. After they've gone through the first scenes, Rachel says, this society is way too celebrity obsessed. It is so superficial. Yeah, I hate that, Cassie said. She gave me a mocking look. And I'm not sure if Cassie's mocking her for the fact that she knows that she's being hypocritical or for some other reason. But yeah, Rachel, you've just risked the resistance against the Yerks to save your planet to go see some fucking celebrities. And you're going to come out of it saying, people are so celebrity obsessed. Yeah, fuck off, okay? Fuck off. But let's talk about the scenes before that line, shall we? So they're flying around this place and Rachel just so happens to look at this building over here. And the glass smashes. The guy throws a chair against it. And he runs back. And then he runs up. And then he stops, pushes some more glass out. And then jumps out. According to how the book writes it. And then the Animorphs all together say, this guy is going to die. So they all somehow, even though they're supposed to be like a kilometre apart or something each. Well, maybe not each, but a long way apart from each other. They all, before this guy splatters on the ground, before that, they all manage to grab a hold of him and they've got enough space before he hits the ground to move him over to a river to drop him there. Now, forgive me for trying to think logically about these things, but it doesn't seem very logical, does it? Not really. It's just not logical. But logic is not something that applies to this book, as we shall certainly find out. So Rachel is just in the right place at the right time to see this person jump out of a window.
Oh, how convenient!
He then gets saved. He goes into the river, shenanigans happen, Arnold Schwarzenegger saves the day. Pfft. I liked him in Jingle All the Way. It's a good Christmas film. But that happens, and they meet up in a mall, and Axe eats a cinnamon bun. And then Rachel goes home. And it turns out that George Edelman, which is the guy that they saved, is now in a mental institution, raving about a yerk. Because Rachel goes home, mother's there, and says, oh, this guy was talking about yerks in his head. So they sent him to a mental institution. His family sent him there. They must have a shit family. And how convenient it is that Rachel's mother is now his lawyer.
Oh, how convenient!
And that means that Rachel is able to get this news so she can proceed with the mission. And proceed with it, they do. So she raises it with the other Animorphs, and they say, right, we've got to go talk to this guy. So they go to this mental institution, which they spend about 5 pages making jokes about nut houses and nuts. Yeah, it drags on a bit. But then they go in, and Rachel still quite hasn't figured out how leadership works, okay? So Jake does some leadership stuff. Cool. He delegates. Him, Marco, and Rachel are to go into a food truck, which just so happens to appear as the Animorphs come across the mental institution.
Oh, how convenient!
So they fly into the food truck on Rachel's lead. And Jake says, that was dumb, Rachel. You should have waited. I knew it would work, I said. I seethed a little at Jake calling me dumb. He wasn't always so careful. Of course, he is our unofficial leader, so I guess he feels responsible. Although, as far as I'm concerned, I'm responsible for me. Yeah, Rachel, if you haven't figured out how fucking leadership works at this point, then don't be part of the team. It's that simple. The problem that I have right now with this Rachel character, and we'll get into some more of this as we proceed through this book, every other character seems to be going through a progression. With the possible exception of, I mean, even Tobias hasn't had a mental progression. He's now got his morphing power back, which is sort of a progression. And Axe hasn't progressed much. I think he will in the next book. But Rachel has had lots of time to progress her character, and she hasn't. She's had plenty of opportunities to learn, and she hasn't. The last book, for example, required Jake to buck up as a leader. And now come the next book, Rachel is like, well, I don't need Jake to be responsible for me. I'm responsible for me. I'm Rachel and I know what's right. Fuck, if we're on book 70 now and you're still at that stage, there's no fucking hope for you. And what do you know, Jon Snow? They're in this truck and they morph to cockroach and they go inside a banana box and they're talking about, I heard once that spiders end up in these banana boxes. And then a spider turns up.
Oh, how convenient!
And because the spider's there, the guy drops the box and they fall down and they're able to go under a wall, climb up and end up near George Edelman.
Oh, how convenient!
And then Rachel decides that she's the one to demorph in this little bathroom where they've ended up under a sink. So she demorphs in this bathroom and halfway through a demorph, somebody walks in. And it just so happens that he doesn't run screaming for his life. She asks, can I have George Edelman? And he agrees to do so. He goes and gets him.
Oh, how convenient!
So Rachel starts having a chat with George Edelman, who comes in and starts to explain what's been going on. So the yerk in his head is suffering under a drug brought on by the ingestion of instant maple and ginger oatmeal. And apparently it's addictive to the yerk and the host while the yerk is in the host. It makes the yerk go a bit loopy. Somehow as well, it means that they survive without the need for Controna. Forever. How? Don't know. Is that what... Maybe that's what Joe Bob Finestra was doing. Maybe, like, he'd get a yerk and coat it in oatmeal, and down it goes. No need for Kandrona. Although the way the book says it, you have to have one bit of oatmeal and that's it. Your yerk lives forever without Kandrona. It's weird. It's never fully explained, and as far as I know, oatmeal never returns again. It's a plot convenience. Or a plot device. I think plot device is more suited here. And this does raise a question, you know, because they sent this guy to a mental institution because he said that he had something in his brain. The MRI scan was invented in 1977, probably about 20 years before the events that took place in this book. An MRI scan looks at your brain. So the first thing that I would have done personally as a doctor, if someone was saying there's something in my brain, I would check to make sure. And I'll give this guy an MRI scan and I'd say, that's fucking fishy. There's a slug on your brain. Fuck me. And the fact that his story would be lent credibility by the scenario. Go back to the first things where he jumped out of a window. He would have said, right, I threw the chair and I jumped out and these 6 birds took me to a river. And they'd say, that's a fishy story. But then they would say, okay, so that window up there is broken. That is his office. The glass is down there, so clearly he broke that. Surely there would have been someone around at a fucking festival who would have seen it happen to corroborate that. And he was pulled out of a river by Arnold Schwarzenegger moments later. You'd think somebody would start to piece these together and say, maybe we should just listen to this guy and give him an MRI scan just in case. What I suspect happened, though, is that the doctors are all yerks and they said, right, no, mental institute, go. And his family are probably all yerks as well, I imagine. So I'm going to let the book off here. There is that possible explanation that all of these doctors and all of his family and practically everyone else in the situation was a yerk and just sent him off to a mental institute. Nobody thought, whoa, let's just hold on here a minute, and you know, we're not just going to shove him off to a mental institute, even though California is one giant mental institute. But let's just bring him back here and discuss this thing. No, they're all yerks. So I'll let the book have that. I'll let the book have that bit. I'll let it off on this one point. The best part of this book, I think, is on page 60. Remember in the last book, or the last review as well, where I criticised Cassie for having a character break moment. They're at Joe Bob Finestra's place, and Cassie sees what or hears what he does, and she thinks it's so ultimately and utterly evil. Therefore, he must perish. And on the face of it, it was very much a character break moment. That's not something you'd expect to hear from Cassie, ever. It's really not. Page 60 of this book, it gets addressed. And I was like, what? Really? Let's have a read of this. Cassie, I asked, what do you think? They're talking about giving this oatmeal to the controllers and sending them all wacko. Which would, of course, affect the hosts as well. She hesitated, like she just wanted to keep tending to the badger. She sighed and stood up. When she turned around, I was shocked. She had a stricken look. I don't know anymore, okay? She said. I was confused for a moment. Then it hit me. We had a bad run-in with a human controller whose yerk was Visser Three's twin brother. This yerk had found another way around the Kandrona. He cannibalized fellow yerks, sometimes human hosts got in the way. In the heat of the moment, hearing that evil creature speak, Cassie had demanded his destruction. It's addressed here. She asked Jake to do it. Jake had refused. I don't know why, but it frightened me to think of Cassie not knowing what was right and wrong, or at least thinking she didn't know. Cassie was my best friend. I counted on her to balance me. She was supposed to be sensible when I was reckless. She was supposed to be moral when I was ruthless. But things had got more and more confused for us all, I guess. Page 60 of this book. I'm thinking of retracting my criticisms of Cassie in the last book. Because of that. Because Well, it's either just doubled down on it on the character break moment, or it's explaining it in terms of this war is now damaging the kids to the point where they're just confused in the head, and they're getting thrust into these situations, and they're starting to react on instincts, and they're coming back and they're thinking, did I just say that or whatever? So fair. And going back to the warning, I take that back. You're now a solid 9 out of 10 because that was one of the scenes that brought it down a bit. So Cassie at the moment is a really interesting character, and you know it does not hurt to say that. I've been sort of behind her since book 9. She's had her ups and downs, but seeing this character conflict is going to be very interesting. Whether going forward it continues, well, that's another question. We'll get to that when we get to that. The Animorphs decide on a plan. They want to get into the yolk pool in order to put all this oatmeal into the yolk pool. Their first plan is to go to McDonald's, and we get the classic Animorphs line, Happy Meal with extra happy. And they go in, and they plan to go into the yolk pool in Flymorph. Turns out, though, there's something called a bleat biofilter in the way, which eliminates anything that comes in that isn't of known DNA, which includes the Flymorph that they've gone in as. Fair enough. Okay, so it recognises humans. Just go in as humans. And then when you get to a certain point in the Earth pool, do what you did in the first book and morph. This seems like the sensible solution. Unless they're worried about getting caught on the way down there or something. I mean, that's fair. But whatever. The Yerks have now got these Gleet biofilters in action, which prevents them from getting in that way. Now, I have a question at this point. Okay, so your plan, the aim of this mission is to fill the Yerk pool with oatmeal. Your plan is to go into the Yerk pool as flies. And then what? You're just going to sit in there thinking, I think we should put the oatmeal in that pool there. That one. Well, Jake, come on. Your whole plan is to get oatmeal in the Yerk pool, and you're just going to go in there as flies? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? I mean, scout the area out, but you know the Yerk pool by now? I assume. It just seems weird and not very well planned out. So that they skip that plan though. Right, new plan. They morph mole and they go to an abandoned house that's got a shed in it. And they're going to dig down as moles. And this is where the message of this book starts to come in. And it's rather annoying. Because remember in books 15 and 16, we dealt with the message of overcoming your fears. And we dealt with it. It's done. This book's message appears to be overcome your fears. Wait. Okay. So the thing that I get from this book, there's a scene later where it comes into play, but Rachel doesn't like being in a... Oh, for fuck's sake. Why do I never forget to mute my phone? Anyway, she's got this fear of being enclosed in a claustrophobic space and being underground and buried alive and what have you. Which I'm pretty sure we've covered before. We've had claustrophobic moments before. They're just using it again, and now Rachel's scared of it, even though it was... I don't know. Fucking hell. She's underground and has a bit of a moment and it just feels underwhelming. Okay, you're scared of being underground, so you turn around and come back out. Okay, great. We've dealt with this before. Last two books, 15 and 16. Put it this way. Right, so we've got... Animorphs is a TV series. And these are episodes 15, 16 and 17. And instead of them doing whatever, episode 15 has... Person X going up a climbing wall and he's struggling to get to the top and there's a bell that he has to ring and we finished the episode and he still hasn't made it up and it's almost sort of discarded towards the end of the episode for other bits of action. So you think, oh, well, that wasn't concluded. Book 16, or episode 16 comes along and we're back with him And this time he reaches the top by the end and bang on that bell. Satisfied. The wall is done. How would you feel if episode 17 comes along and Person X starts the episode struggling to climb this wall again? And then the end of the episode is him climbing the wall and ding! You'd think, oh, what the fuck was that about? We've done that! It's done! We don't need it again. And that's what this book, that's the only message I got from this book. Overcome your fears. We fucking did that in the last 2 books. Shocking. So they spend several days digging as moles. And they don't get very far. Several days, several hours. It makes you wonder, where did the parents think they were? Whatever. But they obviously had their excuses. They're getting good at it at this point. So they get about 8 meters underground or something like that. And they're digging through and they're finding loads of rocks and they still want to get through. There doesn't really seem to be a plan. Sorry, Jake, but it's just fucking dig and hope at this point. But there's a bat cave and they fall into it.
Oh, how convenient!
And what do you know, Jon Snow? This bat cave leads into the Yerk pool, which means they've now got a space to morph to bat in which they can fly into the Yerk pool. Great. It does make you wonder why we bothered with all the mole stuff. Why don't we just have the story where Tobias says, oh, I know a bat cave and it's underground, it might lead to the Yerk pool. So they go down there and they find the entrance to the Yerk pool through there. Why do we need the mole stuff, the middle mole in this? Why? I know why, because it was the thing I just mentioned. It's the message where Rachel's scared of being underground. But we fucking covered that message. So fuck it. Why bother with the mole shit? Put some story in there. There's fucking chemical warfare in this book. Can we have a bit more of an ethical discussion on the consequences of that? I know we get it a little bit. But that was... right, let's just cover this briefly. It's chemical warfare. Chemical warfare is where you use toxins or drugs or whatever to affect your enemies. It is called chemical warfare. And it is against the law, against the humanitarian laws. So it's pretty bad stuff. And the Animorphs are discussing doing it. And they say, oh, we don't really want to do it because... the hosts, humans, we don't want to affect the humans in a bad way. But they skip the whole conversation about, well, should we do it on just our enemies? Because they decide to do it to just the Yerks. There's still a conversation that needs to be had about that. And that's where Cassie should be jumping in and saying, I'm not too sure about that. Or is she still in the sort of mindset of,
kill them, I think they're evil, they should die.
Are we still in that Cassie phase? Or are we moving back to old, I don't fucking know. But instead of this mole crap, couldn't we just have a bit more of a discussion on the ethics of killing your enemies with chemical warfare? It's just a request, please. And then we get probably the shittest part of this book. Right, so they're bats and they've flown into the Yerk pool and suddenly, out of nowhere, 2 flying balls come at them. And no, we're not getting into porno territory. I'm talking silvery Dracon beam firing balls. Firing their beams at... oh, fuck's sake. Right, so these 2 robot spheres come at them. And they've got camera lenses. And they start firing at the bats. But they only hit their wings. And then somebody says, oh, they look through the camera lenses. So... Marco and Cassie grab stones in their little bat feet and throw them at the lenses and it hits perfectly and the robot flies away, but not in time for one of them to shoot Rachel and she falls into the Yerk pool. What a load of shite. How do we get it so that Rachel falls into the Yerk pool? Instead of just having it so that they're digging as moles and that she falls in as a mole, bang into the water, we need this convoluted thing where they fall into a bat cave and then morph bat and fly in as bats and they're these sphere robots that shoot them. And because she gets shot in the wing, she falls into the Yerk pool. Right. Either, right? Either you skip the mole bit and you go straight for the bat bit and find a less fucking stupid way to get Rachel to fall into the erg pool, or you skip the bat bit and just have her crawl through as a mole and collapse into the pool from there. Which one is it? Because both they don't fit together. Fuck. So Rachel survives this, and she's in the yerk pool, and she floats, even though she can't move, she floats underneath the pier.
Oh, how convenient!
And she demorphs to human, and we've seen what happens in yerk pools before, where Jake fell into a yerk pool once and got infested pretty rapidly. And now Rachel's in the main yerk pool and she's just happy damn dozy. I'm sure there's some explanation there. Maybe. And then she morphs ant. Why does she morph ant? Small, I guess. And it just so happens that as this tiny little creature, the water moves in such a way that she's able to get to the pillar or stand at the side of the pier and climb up on it out of the water.
Oh, how convenient!
And then she's able to get up and onto a man who's on the pier and under his collar without getting thrown off or anything like that. Oh my god, it's getting worse and worse. It's awful. It's awful. How is all this shit happening? Dear God. And then it gets worse. It gets fucking worse, ladies and gentlemen and other. I think I'm supposed to say that these days. Rachel goes... The guy... The guy that she's on the collar of is in a building and she crawls out and she just happens to crawl into a storage room with a Dracon beam in an unlocked box.
Oh, how convenient!
And then a Horpajir comes up, she stuns him. And then a woman comes up and she stuns him and takes her clothes. And then she stuns the guy with the collar and walks out in disguise. And once she's out there, there's a whole ruckus and the Horpajir warriors are crowding around Axe, who's been caught apparently. I imagine trying to save Rachel. And apparently Jake and Tobias have been caught as well. So Rachel's in a spot of bother. And Visser Three is going to be coming down any second now, of course, because it's Visser Three. And they're all saying, oh, we need to find these yerks. And Rachel comes up to someone and shoots him and then pretends it was him, which gives her a chance to get away. Yeah, fair play, good thinking, Rachel. She steps away. And then just the funniest line in the book. It sums up this book perfectly. Absolutely perfectly, right? So she's just shot this guy. I turned and walked away. Walk, don't run, I told myself. Well, find her. Rachel, a voice hissed. I swear I almost wet myself. I reached for the Dracon beam. It's just me. Cassie, she was suddenly right in front of me. Yes, she was suddenly right in front of me. How convenient. It's not often that I drop books out of disgust. And that itself wasn't the most disgusting line, but it just sums up this book. La 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 la. Oh, Cassie just appeared in front of me. How convenient. Fuck off, book. Try harder. This is the laziest shit I've written. Laziest shit I've read. And then it gets fucking worse. Cassie and Rachel are standing by the place where they've taken Axe. And a girl is walking through with a box and somebody says, aha, got you, sneaking oatmeal into the complex. Opens it and... Oh my God, fuck off, book. Fuck, really? This is how bad it's going to get? This is how bad it's going to get, right? The whole plot of this book centres around oatmeal, and they just so happen to be stood next to a person who says, aha, oatmeal, caught you red-handed. Now I'm going to put it over there where we keep all the other oatmeal as well. Fuck this shit. And then, of course, Visser Three arrives. He comes through a hole in the centre. I've discussed this before. If there's this whole thing, Yurtpool is under a busy town, basically a city, and there's a big hole, and the bug fighter comes through the middle. So somebody's going to fucking notice. I don't know how they do it. Maybe there's a cloaking thing, but build your Yurtpool outside of town where this thing's a little less conspicuous. Right, so Visser Three is there. And he tells everyone to freeze, so everyone freezes. Cassie and Rachel still have this Dracon beam, and they shoot a Taxon and a human controller and run into the building. Apparently nobody else around thought, oh, I'll turn my head and look over there and see, oh, it's two teenage girls. No, apparently that doesn't happen because they're all like, because Visser Three said freeze, and fucking hell. Why do I bother? Why do I bother with this shit? So they go into this cafeteria and they find Marco eating a banana on top of a bunch of boxes. Seriously? Marco? That you're in the Yurtpool, your most feared place. The Animorphs' most feared place. 3 of you have been taken, the others are missing, and you're sitting in a fucking cafeteria eating a banana. Is this supposed to be funny? Is it supposed to be funny? It's just, it doesn't fit. It's not the right tone. You're in the middle of probably the worst situation the Animorphs have been in for, well, possibly ever. Maybe not the worst, but among the worst situations. And Marco's just chilling there on a big box of minestrone soup, eating a banana. Like, oh, where have you been then? No, fuck you, Buck. And it just so happens that the building with all the oatmeal in is on the other side of the wall.
Oh, how convenient!
Yes, yes, yes. So Rachel morphs elephant, they break the wall, and they're quickly able to get to this place with oatmeal. And it just so happens that the entire building just contained 5 barrels of oatmeal and nothing else. And they just knew that it was oatmeal in these barrels. This is just, it's bonkers, and they break this place down, they push aside the Hortbajir that were there. Visser Three comes up and stands in front of them because he's a fucking idiot. And, wait, let's backtrack a minute, let's backtrack. So earlier when they came in as bats, they were immediately honed in on by silver balls of mass destruction and Dracon fire. Where the fuck have they gone? Where are they? It's not like they're going to be missed. It's a fucking elephant, a fucking grizzly, and a fucking gorilla. Not a grizzly, wolf. And these silver balls that apparently were searching out anything that wasn't matching DNA or whatever, they just gone. They fucked off. They're gone now. Oh, so you're telling me it was just a plot device to get Rachel into the... Oh, fuck. Bye. So because Visser Three's an idiot and he stood close enough to an elephant to get attacked by an elephant, he gets attacked by an elephant. And the worst part was that Rachel grabs him and he misses with his tail blade. Right, elephant, fucking... If an elephant's next to you, it's practically half of the area around you. That part of you. All he's got to do is fling its tail blade that way somewhere. How the fuck does he miss? Granted, he gets on second attempt, but still. You've got... If you just swung your tail wildly in any direction, you've got a 50% chance of hitting her. Christ almighty. This guy's fucking useless. And then, right, so Rachel has got Visser Three in her grasp. What does she do? She throws him into the Yurtpool. Now, I understand why she wouldn't want to kill him in that particular situation, because she's surrounded by Yerks, and if they're just let loose, they're going to kill you, probably. But let's think of it like this. Do the Yerks like Visser Three? No. And the Animorphs know this. Surely by this point. So all you do, Rachel, instead of launching him into the fucking yerk pool, just slam him against the ground and stomp, squish, squish, squish. And then you turn around and you say to everyone, right, I've eliminated Visser Three now. He was a danger to all of you. We've done you a massive favour. If you let us go now, we will go in peace, for now, and we will just leave it at that. And you can say the Andalite bandits took care of him, and we'll go. Do you know what? The fucking controllers would be popping out the champagne. Fuck me, the bastard's dead. Diddle-diddle. They fucking hate him. And instead, Rachel throws him into the yerk pool. And they say, oh, we'll shoot the barrel and it'll explode and you'll go mad. Because, hold on, what page is it? Page 144. Fortunately, I know just a little about Andalite physiology. See, they eat and drink through their hooves. Right now, the Visser was absorbing the water of the yerk pool. So what she's saying is, Andalites can't actually control when they're absorbing through their hooves. Is that canon? It must be, because it's in the books. Does that mean when an Andalite steps on a piece of shit, he's eating shit? That sucks. I don't think it's true. I think they probably are able to control what they're absorbing, else they'd be fucking dead before they're two. They'd just be... You step on a fucking... I don't know. You step on a poison berry or something. That's it, you're gone. The species wouldn't last very long, would it? Race. Sorry, I'm breaking my own rules again. So the Visser Three's in the yerk pool, and he's just like, oh, help me. I can't possibly get myself out of this mess. Oh, fuck me. Oh, incompetent piece of shite. She can't have thrown you that far. Swim forward and climb out of the yerk pool. If you can't climb yourself out, you got plenty of Hortbudger who'd probably be willing and able to help you out if you told them to. And then what? You say, well, now you're screwed because I'm not in the pool anymore. Die, bang, bang. No, apparently he's just fucking, I can't do anything about this predicament. Fucking, it's just bad. It's just bad. So the Animorphs back away with the Dracon beam aimed at this barrel of oatmeal that Rachel's also thrown into the pool. And they get to a certain point up the staircase. And the Visser has demorphed. Or morphed, sorry. And he's flying over to them as this big spiny pterodactyl thing. And they're in the middle of demorphing. Does Visser Three see them demorphing? No. Is there a line of sight between them? Because they can see him? Yes. So how can he not see them demorphing? Fuck knows. It just doesn't.
Oh, how convenient!
And they're surrounded on all sides, and then Rachel, who's still got the Dracon beam, aims up, shoots, and the cavern falls in on them. Do they survive? Yes.
Oh, how convenient!
The way it's written, they had to dig up. And if they were digging up without any breaks, then that means a fucking lot came down on top of them. If they dug up like a metre and then they came out of fresh air, then, you know, that would be more understandable, but basically the entire cavern came down on them. And was there a bruise? Was there a scratch? No. As far as we know, no, they were fine. All of them. And then what happened? Rachel morphs Mole and climbs, or digs away. And she has to stop halfway through to demorph. And in order to do that, she digs herself out a cavern in the dirt large enough for a human body to fit in. Yeah, somehow I fucking doubt it, right? Somehow I doubt that works. It's awful. It's fucking awful. It's all over the place. It's completely all over the place. And then what do you know? Fucking Jon fucking Snow! They're in the Batcave again. Yes, that's right. This small little cave, which when they were in last time, they had to bend down because it wasn't big enough. Apparently, they dig in. All of them, all 6 of them, dig at just the right spots to all end up in the same Batcave.
Oh, how convenient!
And then they head home as bats, and funnily enough, just as soon as Rachel gets home, a call comes in saying, oh, Edelman's broken out of the mental institute. And Rachel has a bit of an inner monologue about basically what she did. She went to the institute as a grizzly and broke him out. Yay, I'm good because I broke the person out of the mental institute. Nothing bad can happen of that. Do you not think for a second, right? You're going into a mental institute as a bear. Do you not consider that there are probably 100 other patients in there who will see a bear coming through, and any work that's been done to help them overcome their illness is just going to get fucking whapped back up to fucking 100%? Have you no thought about that, Rachel? She's probably done some serious damage to some of these other patients in terms of their mental well-being. Fuck me. And not only that, yeah, you broke George Edelman out. Who sent him there? His own fucking family. Where's he gonna go? He's basically like a schizophrenic. Half the time he can't control himself. He tried to kill himself. No, everybody sent him into the mental institute. He can't go fucking home. Where the fuck's he gonna go? Is he gonna go out live in the woods with that woman in the cabin in Megamorphs 1? I mean, possibly. Has Rachel just created another mad woman in a cabin? No. This is supposed to be, the feel-good ending of her breaking him out. No, it's not a fucking feel-good ending. It's fucking stupid. It's fucking stupid. In every way. And I haven't even talked about the whole risking yourself by going into quite a heavily guarded area. A mental fucking institute as a grizzly bear. I didn't even cover that bit. That's just as fucking stupid. Right, you can probably tell that I am pissed off with this book, right? It is trash. And it pains me to say that because book 16 was fucking gorgeous. This one, on the other hand, what a fucking travesty this is. It's not as bad as Alaran's Choice. It's close. This is a 3 out of 10. It's a 3 out of 10. The only reason it's a 3 out of 10 is because the characters were in character, basically. And Cassie had a fun little bit of development on page 60. If it weren't for page 60, it would probably be a 2 out of 10. The jokes are getting stale. The message was just the message of 15 and 16 repeated badly. There were parts of the book that didn't belong. Either they didn't belong at all or they just didn't fit together. The plot conveniences. Right, the plot conveniences in this book make book 15 look like series 1 to 4 Game of Thrones. That's how plot conveniency this pile of shit is. What were the authors doing this month? They've been brilliant for the last few books. And then this comes out. What happened? Did they stumble across some fucking ganja shit and just spend the whole month high off their tits? Because nothing about this book makes sense. It's bad. It's just plain bad. It's all over the fucking shop. Jake's leadership. Oh, well, what was there? Not really anything. He gave some bad standards in the first 2 chapters and then did a little bit of delegation, which Rachel ruined, going to the mental institute. And then he came up with some plans that weren't really plans. It was just dig and hope. So Jake gets a 3 as well. So 3s all round for this one, ladies and gentlemen, and creatures of the night and fucking bats of the cave. Yeah, this is bad. This is actual bad. It's easily the worst book of the main series so far. And overall, if you count the Underlight Chronicles as a whole entity, it's the worst book of the series overall by a margin. It's bad. Oh well, I hope the next one's better. The Decision. It's another Axe-led book. And I do actually look forward to it because I understand we're going to see some more Andalites, and that's going to be quite fun, I imagine. If you like Animorphs and you want to read some more, I do fan fiction. This is number 56. I usually have number 55 there, but thought I'd let you have a look at number 56. That's a Mac, that is, drawn by the excellent Char Reed. And I'm almost finished with book 64. So go find my fan fiction in the links in the description. And yeah, let's hope the next book's a bit better, shall we? Thank you very much for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.